Hello, and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I am your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkars Tavern blog, Discord server, Mimi group, Facebook group, Twittering, Instagram, YouTube.com/Eric Tenkar, live recordings of Talking Crit with myself and Bad Mike and whatever guests we bring along. Those are on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. And before I forget, we are sponsored. This episode of the Tavern Chat Podcast is brought to you by Frog God Games / Necromancer Games, Orcus on 34th level, available exclusively on Indiegogo. Whether you play Swords and Wizardry 5e or the now resilient Pathfinder, because yes, Pathfinder 1e refuses to die, and Pathfinder 2e is not really seeing that much of a surge of a fan base. But I digress. Orcus is waiting for your intrepid party of adventurers. Go to tenkars-tavern.games /Orcus and pick up your copy today. Your party will curse you. If you support the Indiegogo, well, first off, if you support using the link tenkars-tavern.games /Orcus, you're also helping to support the tavern. But if you do back this project, you will have the PDF prior to Christmas. You may even have the print in time for Christmas, and that's a pretty good deal. So what am I talking about today? Well, today we are talking about AD&D 1E again. I'm kind of like fixated, and I'm not doing the deep delves into the DMG. The Dungeon Master's Guide has a shitload of deep delves you can do. These aren't as deep, but they are still things that were certainly discussed when I played AD&D back in the 80s. From page 34, when we're talking about character hit points, the very last paragraph of the discussion is interesting. Your character's class will determine which sort of die you will roll to determine your hit points. In some campaigns, the referee will keep this total secret, informing players only that they feel strong, fatigued, or very weak, thus indicating winning hit points. In other campaigns, the Dungeon Master will have players record their character's hit points and keep track of all changes. Both methods are acceptable, and it is up to your DM as to which will be used in the campaign you participate in. Now, I remember reading that and saying, wow, that sounds pretty cool, really immersive, if only the DM knows what the hit points total are. And then, by the way this is written, my interpretation would be the player rolls the hit points behind the screen. The DM knows what you rolled, what your level gain. You do not. And you, therefore, your hit points are, your total is unknown and your damage is unknown, right? So, yeah, you took some damage. Yeah, a pretty big chunk. Yeah, you felt that. Oh, you're getting pretty weak. You know what? Yes, that is very immersive. However, when you have a table of, 6, 7 players, maybe a few henchmen, keeping track of all those players' hit points, which I would do, but I would let them keep track of it also because it was a nice way to check my accuracy. Because a lot of times you might miss marking off something. I wanted to know, because I just wanted to know how my player's party was suffering from the slings and arrows and swords and maces of their opponents. And maybe make that suggestion that now might be the right time to take a rest and heal up. Sometimes your players need to hear that. But the idea of keeping track of their totals, I mean, when it comes to the player's character sheet, right? There's a spot there for hit points. So why wouldn't they know their total hit points? It's a lot of extra work for the DM, tracking your player's hit points. Like I said, I tend to still give a general tracking because I like to know how my party is doing, but I don't know. I don't know. Same page, though, we talk about character languages. And now this is something else that used to always make me scratch my head, because if you go back to the intelligence table, and the intelligence ability score table is on page 10. It says if you have an intelligence of 8, and they're roughly equating your ability score times 10 towards your IQ. So intelligence of 8 would be an 80 IQ according to this. You can learn an additional language. Somebody with an intelligence of 14 could learn 4 additional languages. 18 could learn 7. But wait, there's more. You had alignment tongues. Now, Gary refers to an alignment tongue both as a language and also as a dialect. And I would say dialect makes more sense. Like, you're all speaking common, and then you got the church speak, right? Words that don't always carry over. But then you had thieves' cant, right? So if you had a member that was a thief, lo and behold, they had another language that they spoke. But wait, there's more. Druids had their own language. So, and if you were a demi-human, you automatically started with common or a whole list of languages, right? How many languages did elves speak? Way too fucking many. So we never quite understood. If you were an elf with an 18 intelligence, how many languages then could you learn? Where was that limit? Where did you hit that point where there's like that overlap? Because let me look. Elves, page 16. Elves are able to speak the following languages. Now, maybe they don't all speak these languages. No, they do. So an elf gets Elvish, Gnome, Halfling, Goblin, Hobgoblin, Orcish, Gnoll, and the Common Tongue of Man. And with the 15 intelligence, can learn 1 additional language. At 18 intelligence, they can learn as many as 3 additional languages. Not including maybe your elf is a thief, so they have thieves' cant. And I myself am... Obviously, I speak English. However, I'm a New Yorker, so there's some discussion as to whether or not I actually speak the common tongue. I also took 2 years of Spanish? No, 3 years of Spanish in high school. 2 years of German in high school. A semester of Spanish in college. 3 years of German in college, or 3 semesters, whatever it works out to be. I can't speak Spanish. I can't speak German. I can understand bits. I'm not fluent. I'm not conversant. I'm not even illiterate. I don't reach those stages. And I consider myself to be a fairly intelligent person, but languages are not my strong point. But a highly intelligent elf is going to know a dozen languages. Doesn't sound realistic to me. Now, we also allowed characters who had high intelligence to start out with their additional languages. We couldn't learn it in like game. Who had time to learn languages in game? You started, so it's like, oh well, and you went through the book, right? You went through that chart, the language chart. There's a probably the DMG. And you can, I want to learn how to speak Black Dragon, Etten. Listen, let's also be a bit more realistic. What do orcs probably speak? They probably don't even speak Orcish, right? They probably speak a language of the common tongue that's just very distorted, right? Goblins too, because you're going to learn the language of those that you uh, prey upon, right? So I don't know. Languages are something that either get used way too much or way too little in RPGs or campaigns, and I think the same also goes for alignment. But alignment is a whole other discussion, and it's a whole other topic, which I'll leave for a later point. Folks, just a reminder, Torchlight is paying 5 cents a word for submissions that we accept. You can pitch at tenkars-tavern.games. The premiere issue was a great success. Issue 1 is looking to be about 32 pages digest sized. Issue 2, once issue 2 is content for 2 is pretty much complete, we'll probably release issue number 1, which is in layout right now. It's supposed to go to the editor, but it feels good. It feels good to be able to focus on this stuff. It feels good to be able to pay creators. If you're an artist and you want to contribute art, we'd love to have that discussion. I we have to negotiate. It's a zine, man. It isn't like it's going to be a huge money-making RPG. It's not going to be making the big bucks, so you're probably not looking at much more for your art. But we're not buying all rights to it. We're buying rights to Torchlight, right? The issue it's going to be in. We ask for a year where you don't put it into stock art or share it with others. And we ask for the ability to continue using your art if we do compilations. So if we do an annual for Torchlight, we'd like to use the original art that was with it. So that's the deal if you're submitting art. And same thing goes for your written words too, where it's going to be released under the OGL. We are an OGL production, open game license, but this is your work. We're not claiming your work for our copyright. It's your work. We're claiming the ability to print it in the initial issue of Torchlight it appears in, and to be able to put it in a compilation. And we're looking to, like a 1-year exclusivity. But tenkars.tavern@gmail.com, put Torchlight in the subject header, and we are still in the world of the COVID. And what does that mean? Well, the COVID means you need to use your common sense. New York City right now is struggling with whether or not to close the public schools. That being said, only 1 in 4 students is actually taking class in person. So closing down the public schools is kind of maybe like a wash. I don't know. It's just a weird existence to be in. We are about a week and a half away from Thanksgiving holiday here in the States. And I don't know how many of these Thanksgivings are going to actually be more than the immediate family, right? I don't know. So use your common sense. Keep yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your community healthy and safe. Be safe. Be well. God bless. God bless you all. Roll your dice well. And God willing, I shall be back here again tomorrow. Oh, and if you subscribe to the Tenkars Tavern newsletter, it went out earlier this evening. Check your spam. If you wish to sign up for it, it's once a week. Go to tenkars-tavern.games. It's on the top of every page, the link to sign up. I try to give updates as to what's going on in the OSR at large and other interesting Kickstarters and stuff, things that might not make it onto the blog or onto the podcast, but also highlight stuff that's happened on the blog or the podcast in the past week. And yes, there might be some short midweek newsletters going out as we get toward Black Friday and the holiday sales. If stuff is time limited, we certainly want to get it into your hands and let you know about it. All right, folks. As always, thank you. And I'll talk with you later.